Okay.
She's with us, Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Jerry. So you're always so full of smiles and everything, but today our topic is not so smiley. We're talking about death and dying.
And the weather,
It's
so
just
gloomy.
accompanies our mood today. Very somber.
And the reason for this is because of the death of Queen Elizabeth II.
Yes, Queen E, and over the weekend I was also reading the paper, and I'm not sure you know this brand new Yen Sang. So the ex-chairman, he also passed during the weekend.
Oh.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Richard Yu, I think it was.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So, I mean, when it comes to Queen Elizabeth's death, why, even though we're so far away from Great Britain, do we feel like we're so affected by someone who wasn't even here, Why is that, Dr. Jerry?
She's so photographed, publicized, so many articles we read about her. We feel that we know her, right? We feel that affinity, we feel that connection with the person, and it can happen with any celebrity. It can happen with, in this case, the royalty. It can happen with people that are a bit more prominent also, or even in schools. I hear this in schools where a student commits suicide and another student from another class who hasn't really known the person also feels quite affected by the news. So, somehow we feel a little bit responsible. We wonder what we can do. So those are some thoughts that are kind of evoked during that period of time. But not with Queenie, not with Queen Elizabeth. We want to know her story. We want to find out more. We want to partake in that final journey with her. So slightly different. So different deaths sometimes bring about different needs and wants.
It's interesting that you say that, because I had a feeling when I saw the Royal Mile. And I'll tell you what that feeling is when we come back.
All right. Meantime, as promised, here's song 403.
It was when I watched the procession down the Royal Mile, my feeling was I wanted to be there. I want to be in the UK to say goodbye. For some reason, I feel saying goodbye from here is not enough for me. It's not enough.
Does saying goodbye mean that you have to physically be either in the same country or next to the coffin, or actually see, the person who's passed to be able to say goodbye or thank you, like Glenn said?
It's the living that whose needs we are looking after, right? So we want to, the person that has passed would not know all these, but the person that is living wants to touch, wants to feel, wants to see, and wants to use their method to say that last goodbye. And sometimes that physical distance can be very, very painful. So, during COVID period, many people were not able to fly back to say their last goodbyes. Now that must have taken a toll on many people. So I mean, I really appreciate when I hear stories where even parents who this is really painful, parents whose children have passed away either through medical issues or suicide, and they're able to hold their children. Yeah, they are able to hold, and you hear stories of them just lying beside the bed of the children's bodies, and that's their way of saying goodbye. It's not easy. It is also very painful, but can you imagine if we just put distance, if we insert distance between this parent and child? How
about for those that can't say goodbye? Those that hold on. That must be even harder, right? Because some people can just have closure and then that's it. They say, okay, it's time to carry
Move
on with life, move on, but some just hang on, especially when you say parents and children or anyone that you're close to.
Yeah, so sometimes it's that thought of the uncertainty. You don't know where the person might go or where they are. There's always that lingering thoughts, unresolved issues. So if we look at emotions, then we look at what kind of emotions are being evoked, during where death is impending or after death, right? There's a lot of guilt. If somebody cannot let go, there is regret. Yeah, there is also a lot of pain, and we want to find out what that pain is. I mentioned about unresolved issues. Perhaps there's also shame. That
Shame.
is, shame for various things that perhaps you could have done but didn't do, and done against the person, and never got an opportunity to apologize or to tell them something. That makes it difficult for the living to let the person go. Angel's having a headache.
No.
Actually, I'm thinking here, is religion the reason for some people not being able to let go? And is this the reason why many parents these days raise their kids up to be atheists? Because of the fact that, if you're an atheist, then you don't believe that someone has a soul or whatever. When the lights go out, the lights go out. That's it. Many people who have who believe in something believe that there is an afterlife, and their deceased parent or relative, they're looking down on you, and they're there to protect you, they're there to look after you and stuff like that. And that kind of like messes with some people's minds. I mean, it may give some people comfort, but to others with unresolved issues, they might feel like, oh, the person has moved on, but the person is still not very happy with me.
Yeah.
And then it plays on your conscience. Is that a possibility?
They play on the conscience.
Not saying faith and religion are bad. I'm not saying that, okay? Because I believe, right? So, but does it mess with some people's heads?
Most of the time, I guess let's go from this angle first. Most of the time, what we do know and hear in sessions is the faith, the religion does give a lot of comfort. I think when you talk about, souls not at peace and not at rest and lingering around, these are the unresolved issues perhaps that we are looking at. For some people, for the living, right? We don't know about the spirits and the souls that are still on earth, because yes, we hear about them, we read about them, but have we ever really encountered it? Most of us haven't. So, I mean, if you feel uncomfortable about it, could it be your own unresolved issues that we are talking about, or your own fears that we are talking about?
No, I tell you that some people are really, really creepy. Let me just tell you, I attended a funeral years ago. I'm not gonna, elaborate like whose funeral it was and stuff like that. But while we were there, paying our respects and all that, a family member suddenly comes up to me and goes like, you know what? She's actually standing right there in the corner.
Oh my God.
I'm like, excuse me? Yep. She's here with us right now. And,
you're at a wake, right?
Exactly.
That's why they
and
call
you
it a
just
wake.
went up, to the open casket, and you said your prayer, and you moved back to sit down at the table to talk to some relatives, and someone comes up to you and goes like, you know
She's
what?
over there?
Glenn,
Yeah.
she's actually standing there in the corner.
Oh my God.
And that messed
Everybody.
me up, right?
Yeah.
I'm driving home and I'm like,
Is she
whoa.
sitting in the back seat?
She's following you home.
And then
no.
the next day, this person tells me, you know what? Last night we all went back. Okay.
Okay.
Talking to Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room this morning, and the topic is inspired by the happenings over the past few days. We're talking about death.
Death and dying,
not an
yeah.
easy topic to talk about,
Yeah, very
but
true.
we're talking about it nonetheless.
Yeah, so Dr. Jerry, I mean, we talk about somebody else dying, right? But
Yeah.
what about ourselves? How do we talk about our impending death? Because life is a living death anyway. Everyone is going to get there. How do we prepare the people around us or even ourselves for something like that?
Yeah, I like the way you say life is a living death because many people won't say that. And especially in Asian culture, right? When you start talking about your own death, like maybe I would die one day,
Yeah,
and
it's
people
so
will
taboo.
go choice.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
Like, yeah, touch wood is not good, and it's also very difficult to talk about your own death because you're looking at something very uncertain. You don't know what comes after that, right? So there are some people that are very scared to talk about their own death. Interestingly, it's not the teens, it's not the seniors, it's this big population in between of the working adults. They're so afraid of talking about death. And I guess I will borrow one of the young ladies who figured out one of the things why she's so afraid to talk about death. She said, but I still want to live. I still have a purpose in my life. I want to do so many things. So they don't want it to be cut short. And they are afraid that they cannot accomplish what they want to, and then their life just expires on them.
I don't understand this thing of if I talk about death, it's going to happen. Because
not.
I am in that senior group, right? And I've done this with the kids. I've done it with Michelle. So that it's almost like I'm trying to prep them.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do. This is what I would like to see done. So that they're kind of like prepped
Ready.
about it. And I think it all boils down to the fact that I had a heart attack. Because
Yeah.
I've said this so many times. There's so much more I want to achieve, obviously, and there's so much more I want to do. But I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid anymore.
You see, he's so brave, FD. He says he wants to die on the show. If he were to go, he wants
I'm
to
knocking
go
on wood right now.
on the show.
Just make sure it's at 8 o'clock. Prime time again. Prime time.
He's going to traumatize all of
I
us.
told Glenn this. I said one day I'll just keel over.
How can you say that?
It's
Aww.
No, I want to
Think
cry.
about us.
a dream.
Oh my God.
I stand by. I went
You
for
know
my
what I
CPR course
mean?
already.
Instead, take better care of yourself so
Yes.
you'll live till 120.
No,
Yeah.
that's something I don't want to do. But yeah.
Please don't.
Yeah, no, but it's stuff
Just
like
don't
this.
think our ratings will go up.
No, I
okay?
won't. I don't think
I don't think it will.
I don't think they will.
So when it comes to preparing, I mean, you're preparing everybody else because when you die, you die, right? I
Yes.
mean, you can't change that. You can change the process of the journey towards death, but you can't change the death itself. So how do we prepare everyone around us? Like FD was saying, his family is prepared. Maybe not emotionally,
journey
but
to being prepared.
financially on the journey. Everything else, how to handle all your estate and whatever else you
and
leave
whatever
behind.
needs I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do we prepare the people around us to say goodbye, especially?
FD just prepared all of us, actually. All who are watching and all of us that are on screen right now, he just prepared all of us. And we need to check in with how we feel. I feel an ache, FD. I really feel
my
an
God.
ache.
Yeah.
My heart is beating so fast. I don't want
wow.
to lose you.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry. I'll be around a long time more.
Okay, that's good.
No, but
my
it's-
eyes are starting to well up as well. Like, what's happening? Stop.
So you see how talking about death evokes so much emotions, and I'm sure the listeners and those who are watching also feel certain emotions, and we need to check in what is this emotion. FD, I'm so glad that I saw you the other day face to face in the flesh. And we have this conversation. In my mind, I was like, what if I never get to see Effie in the flesh?
Oh my
Boy,
God.
we shouldn't have brought this one up.
Will
You know what?
Stop it?
I'll organize a makan session tomorrow. We'll all go out.
Don't procrastinate anymore.
Let's continue to talk to Jerry on the Big Show TV. In the meantime, up next, song.
But talking about prepping people for our death, is there ever a possibility where someone we love passes away and we don't have regret?
Oh.
I
Wow.
think we all.
It's like,
I think
oh,
we
it's
all-
good.
No,
He's
finally.
gone. Phew.
No, I
Good
think
riddance.
Who will say that?
I think
Bye.
somewhere along the line there's a regret, right?
That's a really interesting question. Yes, we always talk about regret. We always talk about, the things that we have not done. I think who I do notice that do not regret are those caregivers that have looked after a patient or a loved one for many years.
Long drawn.
Yes, it's really long drawn. And the passing actually brings relief to the one that has passed, to their loved ones, and for themselves also.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I
So
think the
there are-
family members will probably be thinking like, okay, this person is off to a better place.
Yeah.
The suffering
No
has
more
stopped
pain,
right
yeah.
now.
Right.
At the same time, I mean, the caregiver all these years will obviously feel a little bit more, relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you're at that certain age in your late 90s and you've already done everything.
Everything you
like
want
the
to do.
Queen. I mean, we all knew she was going to go at some point.
Yeah.
And I think the news
But
came.
not 2 days after meeting the
I know,
new prime
right?
minister.
Insane. But I mean, when we got the news that the medical team was watching over her and she was very they said she was in a very comfortable state. I kind of already knew that was going to be
Yeah,
the
we
last
figured
night.
out already.
We already figured out that was going to be, and she was 96.
Yeah. she did.
I mean, like, what did her husband live to? 99?
99.
Yeah.
Prince Philip was
I mean, they
99.
lived a very long and fruitful life. So is those kind of moments also the kind of moments that you don't regret because, it's when it's time, it's time, right?
Yeah, so there's a difference between regret and sadness. So we all still will feel sadness, but when we talk about regret, then there is no regret if you have done what you needed to do and they have already accomplished whatever that they set out to do in life. But you will still feel sad, definitely still feel sad.
Okay. Now, I mean, we were talking about talking about death early on, and I certainly think it's more taboo in Asia
Oh, I
Yeah.
think so.
than
Yeah.
than in the Western world.
Yeah, I think so.
Let me just state that talking about death does not kill you.
It's true.
It
true.
doesn't, yeah.
Even drawing up
No.
a will sometimes here in Singapore, right? For some families, it's like, oh, knock on wood,
But I
they
think
don't
it's a
feel
great
good
thing to
doing
do.
it.
I think it's a great
No,
thing to do.
and then a lot of
Yeah.
people don't do it, right? And they go, okay, I'll do it when it's closer to the end. I'll
no,
do it.
but
right?
you don't
and
know
then
when the
you
end
don't
is.
have time.
Yeah,
And then the family is in a complete mess because there's no will.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just went through a death in the family,
Yeah.
your father-in-law.
Yeah.
Was everything prepped beforehand?
Everything was prepped.
Everything was, and
He
made it.
made sure everything was
So
prepped.
even though everything was prepped, there was still a
There's
lot
still
of
a lot
work
to do.
right? There's still a
Yes.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you need to really be prepped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you go for funerals, right? So even now in the media with Queen Elizabeth's death, look at the different articles and associated articles that surface. So for those of us who remember about going to the funerals, can you remember what you talk about during those funerals?
The person who's
The
gone.
person.
Yeah,
The happy times, Like you remember they did this and what they've achieved.
But it
in
also
their life.
depends whether you know the
Yeah.
deceased or not.
Yes.
Many a time we go there for the family.
Yeah,
Yes.
You may
that's
not
true.
necessarily
The
know,
support.
No.
the
doesn't the-
deceased well.
But you hear the stories.
Yeah,
then.
but the stories still come round.
Yeah,
you know?
hear the stories like they used to be a great I don't know, runner or
Yeah.
sports person or something, things that you don't know about.
And then someone goes, hey, he's standing in the corner. And that messes everything up. I think people are too superstitious.
Yes.
There's so many families who are so superstitious.
Yeah.
You leave a Chinese funeral and you can't say bye.
Oh,
you
really?
can't?
Oh, I didn't know that.
They don't allow you to say goodbye
Oh, really?
or whatever.
What does that
because
mean?
Oh,
I
it
never
means that
knew
you are
that.
saying
Oh,
goodbye
dear.
or something
my
like that.
God. Then what do you say?
There are all these things.
You just leave.
Just say anything else except bye-bye.
See you later.
I'm gonna go. I'm done.
And then, of course, you got to
Finish
tie
this
that
time.
string around,
Yeah.
your wrist or
Yeah.
your finger
That's-
or something
so
like that.
that
That's a
no one-
Chinese.
What is that for? What is
That's
that for?
Chinese funeral.
So no one follows you home.
So
right?
that all the
Spirits?
I'm not sure. So if there's anything, it will go in the string and not
So
go
it will
into
not
you.
follow.
So
Yeah.
you throw away that string after you
Once
leave.
you leave. Oh, I had no
yes.
idea.
Not at
I
I
all.
had no
that.
idea.
I
I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
about the goodbye as well.
Yeah, the goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Wow.
Did you finish your
No.
she's standing in the corner story already?
Well, okay,
That was
no, I
quite
didn't finish that story
Yeah.
yet. So right after all that, the next day, that same person, when I talked to him,
The one
said,
in the corner? Or,
No,
I
the
see.
one
no,
that's
no, no, because it was at a parlor.
Yeah, I was at a parlor.
So he said, you know what? She definitely came back yesterday because we closed all the doors at the funeral parlor. But when we woke up when we went there, it was all opened up. And then they checked with the
Staff.
person
Yeah.
at the church, and they all
Nobody
said
had
no,
touched.
they didn't open the doors. You see,
Why she's so free when open all the doors?
She
You
needed
see
the
what I mean?
air.
That's why too
you
hot.
see, it's
All that
stories like these
Oh my
that if
God.
the children hear
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
they'll be scarred for the rest
They
of their
will be
life.
affected. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, for those that are listening, most of the souls, most of the spirits are harmless. They don't come back and they don't want to
just you saying that.
How
That's
do you know
why-
this for a fact, though? It's just because you haven't been affected in a
You see
negative
what I mean?
way.
What we should be saying, I think, to some people who are atheists or whatever, is that there is no such thing. There is no spirit. There's no nothing. The moment you go, the lights go out, and that's it. It's over.
Back to the universe you go.
You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying.
I don't
You're
know
back
which
into
one
the
is
earth,
worse.
the dust.
Like believing, believing that there is an afterlife, or just not believing there's anything.
I
You know,
don't think there's better or worse.
I know
think
when I was
it's-
growing up, when I was a child, I was terrified at the fact that there was a hell.
Yeah, I mean,
As a kid.
no, but I think a lot of these people who go, oh, she's standing in the corner, it's the person. It's the person. I give you an
the
example.
person saying it.
No,
It's the
it's
person.
how the person sees things. I give you an example. When my mother passed away, I was in church.
Okay.
And they asked me to get up and talk about my mom. The entire congregation disappeared. And all I saw was my mother's face. It's my mind.
Okay.
It's my mind. It wasn't my mother.
Okay.
It was my mind.
It's what you wanted to see.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that. Effie.
And I think a lot of these people
Really?
want that person to be there. That's why they see that person in the corner. You want that person to still be there.
Was that person who saw the person in the corner related?
Yes.
Or close?
You
Okay.
see?
So maybe you're, yeah.
You want to see that person there. Yeah, okay,
Is
could
that-
that be right, Jerry? Could that be what it is?
I don't know for sure, but if you talk about perspective, yes, the brain is very powerful, and I prefer this version to my version earlier.
So everyone watching and listening right now, the next time you go to a funeral and
Someone says that.
you're in that situation, or someone puts you in that situation, just
Let's play along.
Just go,
Play
okay.
along.
I say
I
play
guess.
along.
Just
Oh,
go.
that's still
Yeah.
creepy.
Traffic
though.
standby. 3, 2.
1FM 91.
Okay, we are speaking to Dr. Geraldine Tan, award-winning therapist from the therapy room. Okay, not therapist, but psychologist from the therapy room.
And today, quite a somber subject we're talking about: death and dying,
and
Yes,
ghosts.
it
and
is.
spirits.
Ghosts and souls, and yes.
Well, not so much ghosts, but more perception, right? We put it down to perception.
Perception,
I think it's perception.
Okay, we're not allowed to talk about ghosts.
We're not
Yeah,
talking about
exactly.
ghosts.
Not
We're talking
enough.
about perception.
So we relate it back to ourselves, when a death or by any sort starts to happen. I know a parent brought the child in because a friend's child completed suicide. And the child her own child was showing signs. So she says, can you just please check in with my child and see if everything is okay? So we relate it back to ourselves when we hear of another person's death.
So how about when you mention children, how about talking to children about death? It could be your own death. That's maybe you're ill, and it's the time is soon, or just a death of a friend or death of a parent, another parent. How do you speak to children about death in general?
To be very open with them, because they have no. They see the world through uncolored lenses. They see it as it is, and if we don't put a very negative emotion on that particular topic, they will learn how to be comfortable with that topic and not shy away from that topic.
Should death be a negative topic, or should a positive spin be put on it?
How do you put a positive
It will
spin?
never be positive, because it comes hand in hand with a bittersweet feeling, with that little bit of sadness, with a lot of loss also. I mean, if you don't love the person, then there's no loss, right? But most of us, when we know someone, just like Queen Elizabeth, she's so well loved and well respected, there is a loss, there is a void, right? So it cannot be all roses and butterflies and sunshine, but there is a balance that we put in a little bit of neutrality in that whole conversation, in that whole topic, that it is part of life. I mean, I think the young ones really teach a lot. So one of these young adults, so I think I mentioned it before, he mentioned that the purpose of life is death. And there's so much truth in it. But when you tell it to people, they say, why do you say it like that? This person is very depressive. Whilst that might be true, it is true. All of us and every living creature and organism will end in death. And it's what we want to do during this journey that becomes very, very important.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry. We'll continue to talk to you on the Big Show TV. In the meantime, we continue with 1FM 91.3's greatest hits of
Jerry. Big sigh of I don't know what from me, because when you talk about trying to do everything you can while you're living, you kind of think to yourself, oh my gosh, there's still so much that I want to do that I haven't done, and I don't even know if I'll get round to it.
Well, let an old man tell you something.
Tell me, old man.
You will never be able to do all that you want to do, because as you grow, you evolve, and you will want more. So you will never achieve. You need to be happy where you are.
You want more, or you start to cull the list and pick things that are most important.
Personally, I think you always want
older,
to do more. There's, I haven't done this yet. I haven't done that yet. And you can't. You need to be happy with where you are, who you are. Then you can leave happy.
But you see, I'm happy with where I am and who I am. I'm happy, but I still want to see the world.
That's fine.
You know what I mean? I still want to do a lot of the stuff.
Maybe if you believe in reincarnation, then
I
you
do
won't
believe
feel
in
this way.
reincarnation.
There you go.
I'm going to be a dolphin.
So-
No, butterflies, they
Butterfly
live too
can
short.
You can,
No,
but
dolphin.
you can also
You
be a
can a
person.
few times.
No, we're not making fun of this, because
No.
we are thinking about some people who believe in reincarnation,
I do,
right?
yeah.
So for these people, if you believe in reincarnation, then you were saying like, I haven't finished. I want to do so much more and all that, but. I mean, if you don't have a choice and you have to go, then it's okay, because you're going to come back and be able to
Be a dolphin.
Swim the
perhaps
oceans.
maybe-
Okay.
No, but
A lot of plastic.
you can come back as a person, not a.
That's true, but dolphins, they swim so much faster than people walk, and then they can see the oceans. And
She
all.
wants to come back as a dolphin.
I want to come back
I
as a
tried,
dolphin.
folks.
You tried.
No, I can come back as a person, a great explorer. There you go. Thank you. Okay, all right.
But we're talking about us now, our consciousness now, So if we stay in the present, right, I think the key word FD is trying to remind us is priorities. What are our priorities currently? Yes, we cannot do everything. We want to do everything and anything, right? But, to put things in perspective, we work with palliative care, so end of life. And they really have to prioritize. They cannot do everything already. If you're told you only have 3 months left, and you have limited strength and abilities at that point in time, you really have to choose what you can do. So there was one of the young chaps, he wanted to go on different roller coasters every week because he only had a couple of months left. But he couldn't because he was constantly exhausted. So he needed to pick and he needed to compromise. So he sat with his partner and came up with a list that he could do.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is why I think what you do is so very, very important, Jerry, because a lot of the time when you have peace up here, in your head, it heals your body as well. It calms you, and you feel so much better.
Yes.
Peace up there, peace in your heart, and you're fine. So it's very important what you do, Jerry.
To process it.
Yeah. I need to. Sorry, Jerry. I need to say something now.
Hey, tissue paper.
No.
Music or tissue?
No.
Both,
You need
both,
no,
both.
tissue paper. Just put it there in case.
Those of you who love people, tell them you love them, because you don't know when they won't be around, and that's very important. A lot of us in Asian society don't say those 3 words enough, and then the person's gone.
Yeah.
And
But you see, I never understand, why is it so hard to say those 3 words?
I don't know.
Upbringing, I
I
think.
don't know.
Upbringing, yeah.
You know why? It's some people, right? They mess things up all the time. They say things like, hey, if you don't mean it, don't just say it. And then it becomes something that's very hard to come out.
Yes. Yes.
When your kids are young, teach them how to say I love
No,
you.
I think there's a difference. I think what the people are saying is, you don't walk around going, "Hey, I love you, bro," when it's just more like,
But
I
you see,
like
it's
you.
not anyone's place to say
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah.
If I were to turn to Shaun now and go, "I love you, bro," that's between me and him.
Yeah,
It's,
it
doesn't
it's
matter.
nobody else. It's nobody
because I
else.
know a lot of kids growing up, and some of my friends, because their parents don't say it to them, so they don't say it back. And I remember one time a family member said something like, on the topic of this whole thing, well, if a person doesn't mean it, why should a person say it? And I'm like, okay. So what does this mean? If a family never says I love you to each other,
Means they don't
you guys
love each other.
absolutely don't love each other then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? Say it.
Yeah.
When it's easy to say, then, we wouldn't be in a situation like this where, hey, when was the last time you said I love you to your mom
To
or
your
your
mom or your
dad,
dad or
whatever?
your brother
Why
or
is
your
it so
sister?
hard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they never were in the habit of saying it in the first place.
So it's,
And I'll tell you, when it comes to regrets and death, I'm sure that's one of the biggest regrets. I didn't
not saying I
say
love
it
you enough. Yeah.
But it really is dependent on the person's needs. Some people need the I love you, so that affirmation. Some people need you to
The
do
physical,
something. So
yeah.
if you promised to do something, please carry it out. So that's why we always encourage people, especially parents, please carry out your promises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The love language for everybody is different, right? Because some people want
Different.
gifts.
Yeah.
Some
Different.
people want
Yeah.
hugs.
Parents, please say
Time.
I love you to your kids today and give
Yeah.
them a hug.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Say I love you and give them a hug.
There was a
Yeah.
sitcom, and these 2 girls who were best friends, they would call each other, and before they hung up, they would always say, "I love you in case I die tomorrow."
Brokeback Girls.
No, it's not that kind of show. No, it's just they were just best friends.
No, but you see, this is just
I
the
didn't
thing.
say Brokeback.
I love you
right?
just before
Oh,
you
okay.
did. You
Yeah.
did.
I love you just in case
Just
I
in
don't
case
see
I
you.
die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yes.
why
Very
you say
important.
it as
It's
well.
very important.
Yeah.
Maybe they have very dangerous jobs.
No, it was a sitcom. No.
But also another group of people that I want to encourage them to talk about and think about death is are those that are going for major operations, that are going under general anesthesia. because many times we know the risks, right? And if we want to dismiss it, sometimes that uncertainty and the anxiety can escalate just before the surgery. And many of them, either before or even after have panic attacks or anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
So, be prepared. I think I had a beautiful journey with one of the clients who was going for a back surgery and had GA.
Okay, hold on,
And-
Jerry. Let's
Talk about that.
tell this story on air, okay? Here we go.
Okay.
The Bangles' Manic Monday song 398 on the countdown. We are talking to Dr. Geraldine Tan, award-winning psychologist from the therapy room on The Big Show and The Big Show TV this morning. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. You say award winning then, and so Sean's face frowning. I was like, oh.
No, I'm proud because of the feedback.
There's
I
some
love you,
feedback.
don't worry.
There's some feedback.
I love your awards and I love
too,
you.
Sean.
So, Dr. Jerry, we're talking about death and dying today, and you were about to go into a story that you have.
Yeah, so I was saying about this group of patients, right, who are going for operation, going under GA, and really nobody knows what would happen when you're under GA, and then there are risks. But there's so many stories where people are unprepared and they start to panic because of the uncertainty. So I had the most beautiful journey with one of my clients where she was going for a back surgery, a spinal surgery, and she did her will. She gave instructions to everyone. She's only about 50, but she gave instructions to everyone. She gave my number to the people that were supposed to contact me. We spoke about it. And of course, the operation was a success. She came out of it, but it was such a wonderful journey, from the before the operation and after the operation. She felt ready. She felt comfortable, and going on the into the operating theater, she was ready to take whatever that came her way. And I think that really helped the whole surgery to be even more successful, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing that.
Okay. Are we
we're
Almost.
2 minutes.
Just
Almost there.
a couple of
We got-
minutes.
are we gonna
yeah.
stop talking about death now?
It's so difficult. Okay, I've got an exercise for everyone to take for the week before I conclude. And I think we keep talking about death as death a bad thing, but we also know that we have this amount of time on earth, and it's what we want to do during this period that is most essential. So the exercise is the question: what do I want to do today? Or what do I want to do tomorrow? As simple as that. And don't put it off. Do it. Don't just think. Do it.
Okay, I'm gonna play 9 holes
Thinking-
golf.
yeah,
9 holes of golf this evening.
I'm thinking I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to make sure it's all ticked off.
Okay, all my golf cockies, 9 holes of golf to celebrate life this evening. How about
Absolutely. Do it. Do it.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Dr.
so
Jerry.
I will end with a quote from Haruki Murakami. He says, "Death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it."
Oh,
That's
okay.
true.
Very true.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Wow, this has been a pretty heavy topic this morning.
It's a topic that got me thinking, though.
A topic
Okay,
that needs to
You've
be
been
discussed.
thinking too much already. Please stop
Yeah.
thinking. FD. Yes.
FD is always thinking.
I know.
Yeah.
No, he's thinking about, thinking about what we spoke about just now.
Yes?
Like him here in the studio
Oh,
and
no,
all that.
don't do it.
Actually, I'm not. I'm thinking about my brother, my father, and my mother.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
Aw.
Got me going.
All right.
Are you thinking about where are they now?
No, I'm thinking about regrets.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
Jerry,
With that happy
please
note.
recommend one of your psychologists for the Flying Dutchman.
Book an
We'll
appointment.
be visiting you very soon. And
This
that goes out to everyone else. If you need a psychologist, there you go. Go to the therapy room, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jerry, for joining us
No
once again.
worries. And we'll use what we said just now. We love all the listeners and fans. And I love Glenn, Angel, FD, and Sean.
We love you too.
Dr.
I love
Jerry.
you. Mwah.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Jerry.